So in order to deliver this effectively, I've got to make sure I drink my Red Bull, which plainly states in the back here that it is appreciated worldwide by athletes, which I am, busy professionals, which I am, and college students. So it makes sense.
What kind of athlete are you?
Of several things.
Okay. Fair enough.
And choose to keep it modest. So good morning, and thank you for coming, or for the classroom, hello, and good afternoon, good evening, whatever it is for you guys. Teacher, Laura Cohn, or Professor Cohn, or Laura, however it is that we're supposed to address you. I don't think we've covered that yet. Welcome, thank you for watching. My name is James Ellis. This is my first presentation for my Intro to Humans Communication class at Park University, EN 306, and I've gathered you all here, the 6 of you, because the required minimum for an audience was 6, is to deliver you guys a speech that I prepared to demonstrate my ability to speak publicly for the class, and as part of my first homework assignment. So, Specialist Garcia, Delgado, fill her up. Fernandez, is that your name?
Yes, it is.
Fantastic. I'm glad I remember that one. Sir Camacho, Sir Perkovich,
Yo.
thank you for being here and participating. I hope you enjoy the view. So, the assignment asked us to reflect on the question, how do I see myself and why? And when I started thinking about this question, I realized it's not so easy to answer, right? I see myself in a lot of different ways. But which one of these ways really defines me? If I were to ask you in one word to describe yourself, what would that word be? And you think you could come up with that word in a matter of 5 seconds?
Nope. Cannot come up with it.
How do you view yourself?
There's multiple, like you said, there's multiple ways.
There's lots of different ways, right?
Lots of ways.
Delgado, how do you see yourself? One word. Can you think of one word that describes yourself? That defines your whole existence?
No, I can't.
It's hard, right? So, I got to thinking, right? And I figured out in order to answer this question, I had to think back to a lot of the past events or major life decisions that I made to try to identify how are these decisions made, right? How were they influenced by the type of person I am? So I thought back to a couple different scenarios, such as when I was 18, I bought a brand new motorcycle. So I had never ridden a motorcycle before in my life. I had no experience, nor did I have the money to afford this motorcycle. I bought it all on credit. But why did I buy it? Kind of risky, right?
Yeah.
Also, I was dating a girl shortly after this motorcycle situation who joined the Navy, told me there was a good chance she was going to get stationed in San Diego. So as she got up and left for boot camp, I got up and moved to San Diego. Never been there before in my life. No job. Moving in with roommates that I'd never met before. I met them online, right? It's a very scary situation, very risky. Why did I do it? What other decisions did I make growing up? Or life decisions had influenced me and put me where I am today? I joined the military. Why did I join the military? I had no previous aspirations of being in the military. I grew up with parents that were hippies, that were music-loving musicians from LA that lived around all the perception of peace, love, and rock and roll, right? Never supported the idea of the military. Actually kind of despised me when I did join. But one day I decided to entertain the thought. 3 years later I was enlisted, right? Why did I volunteer for all 3 of my deployments? Why did my wife and I choose to go to Argentina for our honeymoon instead of the conventional Cancun or Hawaii? All these decisions I thought about, there wasn't any really consistency, right? There wasn't any direction that I had that led me to make likely decisions, right? I didn't have any real motivation growing up. I wasn't one of those people that knew that I wanted to be a doctor or knew that I wanted to be a firefighter, right? So all I had to do was just follow that path to reach that goal. All of these different life decisions, I had to think, what do they all have in common? How are they all related? It's not quite spontaneity, although I do like to be spontaneous, right? But I also like to be very organized and planned. The one word that I could think of to compare all of these major life events or decisions that I made was curiosity. Now, I don't quite think that curious is the word that I would use to describe me. But what that led to was the term explorer. So, you think to yourself, what is an explorer, right? I'm definitely not preparing to set sail across an ocean and discover uncharted lands, right? And I'm not scaling South America or South Africa, right? Trying to find El Dorado or learn about indigenous tribes. I'm not even planning on becoming an astronaut, right? So, how does this term or idea of an explorer pertain to a modern sense? Well, by definition, explorer is a person who travels through a new or unfamiliar area in order to learn more about it. Now, there may not be any undiscovered areas or in a regional sense, but when it comes to experience, there is countless undiscovered territory. Does that make sense? I realize that I have a passion for discovery. Discovering my limits, discovering what I'm good at, what I'm not good at, what I like and what I don't like. Can I ride a motorcycle? And will this help me get more girls? Okay? Can I commit myself to a military contract? There was no other prior influences other than the thought of, can I do it? What is San Diego like? Well, let's just go down and find out. Now, why is this aspect of being an explorer necessary? Or why is it important to me? It's not necessarily important for everybody. Right? You don't need this trait to be happy. It's not essential. For example, my baby brother is very much a homebody. He is not an explorer like me in the sense that he's very content with what he likes. He doesn't like to venture too far off the path. He knows what his comfort zone is, and he likes to stay within those limits. And he knows that if he stays within those limits, he'll never put himself at the risk of being unhappy. And this method works for a lot of people. I chose to be different. I put myself into a lot of risky situations. And I paid for it sometimes in depression, bad luck, a lot of stress, and a lot of debt. But in the process, I also made a lot of discoveries about myself, about things I never knew I would have liked, things I never knew that I wouldn't like, that I've now learned to avoid. I've learned that the more I experience, the more I learn. And the more I learn, the more I can experience. And these two concepts go hand in hand and will continually feed off each other. And as I continue to make decisions throughout my life, they will all be based around the notion that I'm an explorer. And I will always favor the decisions that have a higher level of possible discovery. So now that I've recognized how I see myself as an explorer, that moves us to the question as, why do I see myself this way? Or rather, why is seeing myself this way important to me? It's certainly not my only attribute. Some would say that I'm curious. I'm definitely good with math, and that's influenced a lot of decisions I made in the sense of what type of businesses I'm likely to enter, how I approach college, different jobs that I've had, right? Some would also call me an old soul, and that dictates certain things that I'm attracted to, right? So why do I feel that being an explorer, or having the explorer attribute, is more important than the rest? I think I lay the value of it in knowledge. I believe that knowledge is power. And the more knowledge I'm in, the more knowledge that I have, the better I will be at making decisions. Better decisions for me, better decisions for my family. And both my well-being and my family's happiness and well-being are incredibly important to me. Now, that's not to say that those that are homebodies like my baby brother are incapable of making intelligent decisions. In fact, oftentimes, not taking that risk is probably the intelligent decision, right? I've just chosen a different approach. And what it really comes down to is how I want to live my life. What my purpose in life is. Now, I've never been a religious man, so I've had to contemplate on my purpose of life through other channels. And I can't say that I've truly defined yet what my purpose in life is. But I do know that I want to be happy. And I don't want to feel like my life's been wasted. And whatever my ultimate purpose is in this life, I believe that it can be better achieved with the more knowledge that I have, or the more knowledgeable that I am. If my purpose in life is simply to leave the world a better place for my children than it was for me, I believe that to achieve that goal, the more knowledge I have, the easier it'll be to obtain. Or if my purpose is simply just to enjoy life, to be happy and be grateful for the life that I have, the more I know about what makes me happy and what doesn't, the better I can fulfill that goal. Right? Makes sense. This knowledge is gained through experience. More experience is gained through discovery. And discovery is gained through exploration. So, with that, lastly, I started to wonder how I became this way. Right? What influenced me to become the explorer type as opposed to the, like my brother, the homebody type. We both grew up in the same house under the same parents. And then I realized that this assignment only called for us to figure out how we turned out the way we did, or didn't call for us to figure out how we turned out the way we did, just what we are and why we think that's important. And I realized that that was enough reflection that I was going to do for the night, and if I kept thinking about myself, I was going to stay up all night. So, let's return to the question. How do I see myself, and why do I see myself that way? I value the attribute of being an explorer because it drives me. I've learned how to evaluate risk because of it. I've learned that I love sushi, and I would have never have known that otherwise. Or if I wasn't daring enough to try it in the first place. I've learned what it takes for me to reach a low, how to bounce back from that low, and how to avoid those environments and situations. Now, I hope that this speech or delivery inspires you to look into yourself and discover who you are, why you feel that way about yourself, and how you can use that to provide yourself with the life that you want. It doesn't have to be an explorer. It doesn't have to be a homebody. Whatever it is that defines you, if you take a moment to figure it out, as I have done, I think it'll help you understand why you make the decisions that you make. Now, I can't say that the more explorative you become, the happier you will be like me. I can't say that any of you are unhappy, but I can say that I am happy. And I will continue exploring my limits and my boundaries, and I will continue exploring my tastes and preferences, and I will continue to attempt to expand my knowledge, and that's just who I am. I am James, and thank you for allowing me to introduce you all to the class, and thank you for listening and participating.